we if we gonna go there with like dealing with us peoples, now we got to talk about accountability because, and the problem is we talk about accountability to me in the wrong direction. We talk about it really backwards. We're gonna talk about accountability from the point of origin. We talk about it from it's already here, and as if we can fix it by focusing on what's already happening and working backwards. It's like, no, we gotta start from the source. Yo, if your friends or family have a business, you gotta ask them some real questions, which in a lot of business circles they call them qualifiers. Like, okay, so where's this product coming from? How much are you spending on it? How often can you do this? How often can you do that? Have you gotten certified for anything? You know, what's the estimated value on this? What's the cost per item? These kinds of questions. When people hear that stuff, they get overwhelmed. And instead of taking accountability for not knowing how to answer these questions, they blame you and they say, well, you know, you hating on them, or you basically you got some kind of problem with them. But it's like, yes, I do have a problem. The problem is that you trying to sell me a product and you cannot provide me its value. You cannot communicate its value to me. How can I buy something, or how can I have an interest? How can I support something without understanding the value of this product? So my biggest thing when it comes to making this make sense, because people would say, people kind of like hear that and it'll go over their heads, or they'll hear it and say, you sound just like those people. And I say, well, those people are probably people who actually are willing to invest, but they're concerned with their money. Like, think about it. So this one thing I do with people, especially like my mentees and stuff, is like, okay, if I try to sell you something or you see something in the store, if you have a 9 to 5, think about your 9 to 5, or like hourly. So like think about your working situation hourly and look at things that you buy. It probably costs you an hour of work to buy yourself a week's worth of chicken breast. That probably costs you an hour of work. You might look at it and say it's $10. I say it's an hour of work. Let's communicate value in that way. That's way easy to understand than looking at it by a dollar value. If I say I'm selling you a pair of shoes, they cost $130. That's 13 hours of work for you. The average hourly wage is like somewhere between $10 and $13. So if I say these shoes are $130, that's 13 hours of work for you. What kind of job do you have? Do you work really hard for 13 hours? I bet you consider if this shoe is worth it more if you think about the 13 hours that you have to work to afford this shoe. 13 hours. And then when you say like Duquan, I know you heard me talk about like the rule of three. It's like if you can't pay for this 3 times over, it ain't yours yet. Ain't no need of you buying this. So say, okay, I'm selling you these shoes, $130. 13 hours of work, right? 13 hours work. So technically, rule of three, what is 13 times three? Not that good at math. I'm guessing it's 39. Okay. 39, let's say it's 39 hours. 40 hours of work. That's a work week. Are you ready to give me your entire work week for these sneakers? It's not worth it to you then. We're gonna look at it that way. So let's look at some commodities. Let's look at some current businesses that some of our brothers and sisters, if we're gonna stick with our community, some of our brothers and sisters, we're gonna go with the one. I think what I think is the biggest one, beauty industry. We're gonna go with hair. Women spend 400. Like all this crazy amount of money for them wigs. It's like, bro, I don't know why y'all wear wigs anyway, but anyway, some of them wigs, I done heard women say all kind of stuff for them wigs and weaves, hundreds of dollars. And that's how I think about it. I say, damn, how many hours you have to work to be able to afford that? That's how I think about it. How many hours you have to work? Let's say the hairdo in total, hairdo top to bottom, hairdo, the whole outfit, all that. We approaching a
Writing
thousand
tablet
dollars.
and pen.
say you're approaching $1,000 for like a whole look, top to bottom, from head to toe. You're approaching $1,000 for that look. $1,000 at $10 an hour. That's an insane amount of money to look good for like one day. How many times you gonna wear the outfit? How many times do you expect this outfit to last? Now we really talking about communicating value, because now we thinking about all these daily factors. So when you try to sell something to somebody, no, I'm talking you too, Desiree. Look,
Hey,
like
Desiree.
when we think about these things, then we can really talk, right? Think about a car. You can get a cheap car for like what, about 5 grand? How many hours it take you to make 5 grand? How many hours it take you to make 5 grand? They would tell you the rule of three. So if you ain't got 1,500, you can't afford that car. How many hours it take you to
Oh,
make 1,500? On top of the
oh,
bills, your living expenses, all of those things that you still have to take care of, because you got to total all of that out. How long do it take you to make that 1,500 to safely say you can spend 5,000 on the car to cover, basically
let,
cover your life
let,
incidentals?
let me bring this up. You know, first of all, I'm gonna mention data.
Yeah.
The American way in business is being able to provide data.
Yeah.
Every every everything about human life is on a number factor. We have a social security number,
Hmm.
we have a birth date, we have a age, we have a license plate number, we have an address. Everything is about data. Now, I'm not against, women do what they do to beautify themselves, because some of them done set their standards and their class up high where they can actually afford that. Then you have another class where they rather, spend everything they got, even if they have to sell the food stamps that feed their kids, to
Uh-oh.
look rich, the look worth something, or the look in a way where they can try to basically catch an individual who will
Uh-oh.
basically make their situations a whole lot better.
Don't
So
do it to him, James. Don't do it.
yeah, I won't get on that, because what the women do is their priority before I even meet them. Just like my priority is to keep myself well groomed, keep my hair cut. That's my priority. So when I meet a
Hmm.
woman, I'm not looking for her to do none of that for me. As far as my vehicle, I'm not the one to go spend $5,000 on no car, because I'm going to the dealership because my mindset and my beliefs is a way to build myself where I can go to the dealership and choose whatever I want with no
Mm.
money down.
Mm.
So it's the standard of how we live, to how we think, and how we believe. People
Right.
do what they believe. If people believe that they can steal and get away with it, they're going to be thieves. And if you got thieves around you and you look around, your phone gone, that's on you, because
Hey.
you hanging around thieves. So um, the issue that I want to bring up is basically on the business concept of things. Let's just keep it simple. In business, where a lot of entrepreneurs are going wrong at is they're so focused on the people and not on their customers. And
Yes,
that's
sir.
really that's
Yes,
really
sir.
crippling. That's really crippling a lot of businesses, because you know the social media way is to gain a following. The
Yeah.
way of the world now is to have a following. So everyone want to be big on getting a following, and when the following isn't coming through based on the leadership or their beliefs or their behavior, because you have some people in the following, they won't support your business because they're not business minded.
Yes.
They're the type of people that sits and wait for the gossip.
Yes.
That's when the parade for them gonna come out. So you have to be careful on how you thinking what you believe in and how you respond from your heart and display your spirit, because the spirit is going to attract whoever you are. So in business, we have to quit focusing on the people and focus on our customers, serve our customers, and those who meant to follow you is going to follow you based on that business principle that you carry. And that's why we're not able to get on here and speak to Oprah Winfrey. That's why we're not on here speaking to Denzel Washington, because those folks is in a whole different category. We're kind of getting in deep water, learning how to swim in the deep water. But the truth is, we've been wading in muddy waters basically all our life, and a lot of time that can get us frustrated.
Yeah, I'm with that. All of that.
Yeah, I
All
agree a
of that.
lot, and I just want to thank everybody for tuning in because this is definitely a conversation I know we definitely had to have on what does support mean to you, because there's so many ways to support. You like you said, you got your support, you got your people who just follow you. They can share a post, but is that really support? And I know sharing or doing certain things can go a long way because it can be found to the right person, but also you get more drama sometimes. Like a lot
Mm.
of times I watch, I watch a lot of the posts, just to see who me too, who crossed over, who knows this person now that didn't know that person before.
Yeah.
And a drama post, a sex post, something will always get you a lot of attention. But then when it comes time for you to lay your business down, that the amount of likes and that support is definitely not there anymore.
Get
You
quiet
know.
then, don't
hmm and I gotta give it up to you, James, because you taught me that. He actually walked me through that scenario step for step. And when it hit me, it was like a freight train. James, I tell you, I ain't post for like 2 days. I was like, wow, so it's really like that. And somehow I just say, let me get back to work. And then James reminded me again. And this time it hit a lot harder because I had to sit back and look at, I know I do like a whole lot of work here. I remember showing my stats to you, Anthony, and you was like, you talking to 100,000 people, or you reaching 100,000 people and
Big.
not getting paid? I said, you're right. And that support I'm talking about, that real step that gets you somewhere, Anthony taught me one of them too. So y'all two brothers really taught me something that pushed me to the next level past like just being here. I'm supporting, but what do I do next for my own self? And I'm not necessarily getting the same reciprocation. So I appreciate y'all for really showing me those ways. And there's so many people that probably don't even have that little extra step,
Yeah.
because they
true.
not reaching out, maybe they not, or maybe they don't know who's who. And I know as our community is, we shy away from therapeutic, I don't need a shrink kind of things. When the reality is me not having my father growing up, I just knew I was supposed to watch men do what they're supposed to do so I could figure it out. So that's why you'll see me following brothers, really looking at their work ethics, trying to be on the same page because we don't got a choice now. We
Right.
really don't at this point. But
So
go ahead, bro.
could I ask you, do you agree with statements like surrounding ideas of we really don't, and I'm talking about this from a lens of that. I had this conversation this morning when I was talking to my wife. Is like we are really fumbling in the dark because we're more concerned with a self-made image rather than a solid foundation. We're more concerned with thoughts of I did this. This all me. I did this on my own. Hey, Desiree. Um, we're more concerned with ideas of like the flair of business, or the flair of like I'm this self-made man, this self-made woman, rather than like what gets results. We're more concerned with the image than the result. It's like, we'll work hard to build the image, but we'll do significantly less to actually achieve a result. Like James said earlier, people will spend extravagant amounts of money to have a look, but lack the substance, aka the actual reputation, the actual work, the body of work to do something. Like we seeing a lot of podcasts erupting. But what are we seeing podcasts about? Like relationships. What are we seeing in these relationship podcasts? Nothing but toxicity. It's people blaming others for how they live, for how they grew up, for the environments they're in. Where are the people that's like, okay, this is how you came up. This is what you believe. None of these things are working for you. However, here are things that we have seen that actually do work for people. Let's focus on that. Why are we focusing on who is responsible for what and why, instead of the fact that we already know this? Now let's focus on what is productive, which is, my new way of speaking. This is productive. This is unproductive. Good, bad, things like that. Those words are so vague and so flavorless that they don't explain anything. Productive, it means it works, and unproductive
Oh,
means it does not work and it won't work. Like let's start to
we,
think about things like that. So we're in that spirit, right? Where it's all about the image. Because and I'm sorry, I blame a lot of that on social media, because social media is a place where you can build an avatar for yourself, and people can see you as who you want them to see you as, rather than a person who, like if you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, in some ways I view them as the same thing. Uh, if you are basically in your startup phase, which is like the first couple of years, which people don't realize, if you're in a startup phase, most people will only show you every victory they had. Where did how many people do you know would tell you like, I lost a couple $100, a couple $1,000 on a potential investment. It didn't work out. Where are the people who will tell you, that they dropped the ball on a deal because they weren't prepared. They didn't have all their ducks in a row. They learned something that day, but they were not prepared. Because I can tell you, you done heard me say it a couple of times. Desiree Duquan, you heard me say I failed at least 5 times building this brand for 5 different reasons. Can I guarantee that this one is gonna stick? No, but this is the longest time that it's stuck, because all that stuff that I failed those other times, I got to books, I got to mentors, I actually practiced, which is the other thing we don't see a lot of people do, is they don't actually practice. Some of them get the education and they think, oh, I just absorbed all of that. Like I heard it, I stood in class, I did what I had to do, and somehow by osmosis, I know what to do now. They never
Right.
put anything they learned into practice.
Mm.
I just a few months ago, uh, um, basically like a meet of entrepreneurs, bunch of people in the room. And the people who hosted it told me that. They said, like, yeah, like it's not uncommon for people to come in here, because I was asking, like, are there any prerequisites, anything I should bring with me? Anything I need to know, because I'm seeing a lot of people who are using like a lot of buzzwords and things like that. So maybe they actually may know what they're talking about to a degree. Is there anything I should brush up on before I step in the door? And they was like, no, because we've had tons of people who are able to do that, parrot off all those words. But when they come through the door and they sit in the rooms, they can't do that anymore. Like they can't talk like that anymore. That the pressure sets in, and they the imposter syndrome comes out. And then there are people who leave these enlightened, and when they walk away, they never put any of it in practice. We never hear from them again. So, like, we're in this image based reality now, where really you can look at. I mean, how many people? The big one is like these coaching platforms now. You got so many people putting out coaching platforms, right? 10 years ago, the coaching platforms was it was
Go ahead,
Let
Jim.
me interject for a minute,
go.
and you know, I just want to say a lot of times what's going on is we're so busy allowing ourselves the speak and give a biased opinion. See, when we start allowing ourselves become so visual on what other people are doing, and we're basing that on our own personal experience, and then we speak on that, we're speaking with a biased opinion because our emotions and our passion has become involved. The simple step is, and this is the simple step I had to learn from personal experience, your mindset and your spirit has so much to do with the production and the prosperity of your business. If you lack in that, you'll continue to go through many different scenarios, but it's basically you still going through the same steps until you pass your test. You're not going to go anywhere. And the Kwang can tell you, I told him, because I watch him all the time, I said, say, man, you pushing everybody's agenda who wants and needs something, but you're not pushing no customers. His whole platform, I go to his, if I want to know anything about anybody on social media, I go to their profile. I can see pictures, but I want to see how you commenting. I want to see where your spirit and where your heart is at. And I know what type of attraction that you're going to have. Like I say, you can have 1,000 people, 2,000 up to 5,000 people on your post. But when you speak about the business aspect, you only going to get 3 or 4 likes. But if you talk about how you was in a fight, how you got drunk and threw up, you got everybody thumbs up, and I know that's right, and all of that, because that's what's in your spirit is what's going to attract, and what's really in you is only going to push out when you apply that. See, one thing about a light, something of the light, things in the dark or watch that light doesn't mean that they necessarily gonna come into it. They may wonder of what it is in the light, but it's not in their spirit to come into it because they can't let the darkness go. So what we have to do is you have to start training yourself not to worry about the people, worry about your own beliefs and your own steps that you're taking. And when you start getting your spirit and your steps correct, then you're going to bring about a whole new following. You won't see your potential until you unleash your potential. And that's what the business is all about. You know, if you go on my post, everything you see on my post is about my business, not about the people. Everything you see on James Byrne Post is about my customers. Everything you see is about me and my partner building, and me, us, and the customers. I don't post people. I promote and post my customers. I don't worry about the people. I post my customers. And these are the people I don't know. But I can go back and look at all these pictures and videos of the experience that we shared. And some of these experiences are more genuine than I have with my own family. You know, I can fly the banner all the time. We need to do this. I can scream, man, the minorities this, the Black Wall Street this. I can use that as a banner and be just as big as scams as anybody that I ever knew, that I ever come across. I delete scammers every day because I police my page. You know, and that's what we have to take a step in. If we're at the table, it's 4 of us at this table right now. I just put Jaquan on the payroll today, but how long I've been watching you? How long I've been? Man, we've been going up. Yeah, but you know, but I put him on the payroll today, not knowing to me, it's the first paycheck he ever got. And I'm in Texas. Where you at, bro?
North Carolina.
He's in North Carolina. I'm in Texas, send him his first paycheck because I'm going to seriously invest in my business. You know what I'm saying? I get my hair cut, I'm going to keep my hair cut, but I have to invest in my business also. This is what I told him. I said, look, bro, I said, I'm going to invest in the business. You the artist. I'm going to put you on a payroll. I want a post. I want a commercial once a week for the rest of. I want a commercial once a week for the rest of the year.
Yeah, once a week for the rest of the year.
Once a week for the rest of the year. And if I like it and it goes well, then I'll push more money into it. I'm in a house that I don't own and I'm paying rent. And I'm not getting rich. I go fill this truck up, I run down to McDonald's or whatever I do. I'm not getting nothing from that. So why wouldn't I invest in myself? You know, and I told this brother, I said, man, I look at your post, and this is just realistic. And I make a look at Miss Desiree post. Okay.
Don't look at mine.
Okay, but it's a great learning experience, right? It's a great learning experience. But the thing is, I look at the brother's post and I can see that he's promoting and marketing everybody's business, but none of them's his customers. That's sad. That's hurtful. And he's waking up to that. But I'm telling him, man, when you wake up to that, you still have to keep your spirit in check or you won't be able to advance. When I post people like that on my post, you got a time frame. I may let you post something on my page Monday and Tuesday, but when it comes to the weekend, okay, it's time for me to remove myself from that tag and delete who I allowed in there because I'm about my business. I'm about my customers. You're not my customer, you know, so my priorities come first, you know, and that's that. And just like we were speaking on, you know, women getting their hair done and so forth like that, that's cool to me. That's your priority. Now, if I come into your life, don't expect me to get your hair done, your nails done, because baby, that's your priority. I'm not going to expect you to get my hair cut and all that stuff. Now, what I will do, if you have an issue with the car, I'm going to take care of that. If you have an issue where we have an issue with the household, I got you on that. But when it comes to what's your priority, you should have been on that stuff before we even met. You know, and because that's the standard that you presented to me. So when I get into the household, I don't want to open the door and roaches falling all on my damn head and all that stuff.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just certain things that when I'm meeting you, and some people have risen themselves to a certain standard, guys and females, you know, just not the females. And because guys sag they pants for whatever reason, they want to think it's cool, they thuggish and all that. They wearing flip-flops now. I don't wear flip-flops. You know, I'm just not a flip-flop guy. You know what I'm saying? But for my standard, in my perception of it, in my personal business I keep to myself, But I look at a guy a certain way. I see him with flip flops walking through Walmart and so forth. You know, get some house shoes, bro. You got flip flop, plop, 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 plop. That's like a woman in damn high heels to me. Just,
That
just,
that's
just my opinion.
Look, we're about
Just,
to fight up on here. You
that's
guys are coming hard at us, ladies.
just.
that's a
No, because here's the thing. Here's the thing with men who done risen themselves to a certain standard. You know, looks is great, but when you start getting a certain age, you start knowing one thing about your own self. Things start to wither away. You know, and when you start getting older, okay, baby, you look good, but now what's required for my stimulating is what we have in the mental, what we building, you know what I'm saying, what we sacrificing together and so forth like that. And then if I meet a lady and we go out on a date, I got you on everything. But
mm,
what the lady don't know is when she sit in front of me and I scoot the chair up and we have the nonchalant conversation, now it's all about, okay, let's get down to the business. You know, what's your credit score like?
Real
You know,
questions.
because I want to know based on what I have to offer, what you have to offer, where we can go get a home for $350,000. And it ain't necessary for me and you. We just want to live as we live until we die. And then when we die, we hand the baton over to the family. If you fumble the ball, that's on you. We don't live like we wanted to live. All
I'm
you
curious.
gotta do is
I was gonna say, I'm curious, Anthony. You look like you're biting your tongue. What are you thinking on that?
I mean, honestly, without trying to be dismissive, I think all this is irrelevant because if you ask me, I would like to recenter this conversation back on support because we started talking about something else. Like James said, like you get into passions and stuff like that. This is like a passionate conversation. This is irrelevant when it comes to like support. I don't care what nobody woman doing but my own. And I don't care what women out here doing in these streets. You know, like what I was speaking on was value and communicating value and how people perceive value, which is the whole reason for me even bringing any of that up. And then we got derailed because we got passionate. So for me, like that's kind of where I want to go back to. And I think even though we kind of got like sidetracked, we still were talking about values, more like personal values though. So I think what we all can agree on is that communicating value is important. However, perceived value is likely more important. Perceived value. You can communicate value all you want, but how is that value perceived? So, and why I brought that up in the first place, because if it correct me if I'm wrong, Daquan, but you want to talk about what is support. So
Right.
when people ask and would like to have conversations about support, I like to root my stance in value because there is no support without an understanding of value. If I don't know what this is, whatever it is you ask me to support, if I don't know what value it has in multiple tiers, I'll say that. If I don't know what the value is, I can't support it because I don't know what I'm capable of. I don't know what my interest level is. And I don't even know if I can pass it on to somebody else if it's just something that I don't find value in. And so like value levels, I would consider I could start with just like something simple like intrinsic value, which is like in you. That is like that goes with like your personal beliefs, like what James talking about. Your personal beliefs, those are very valuable. So in order for you to support something, you may need that internal value system, which is why brands align themselves with certain things. That's why some companies say that they're Christian-based companies. So their values align with faith and religion. They will get, they will automatically have an attached value to believers of Christianity. So then you'll have things that like people do different things, like companies can be aligned with certain political agendas or certain social agendas, different things like that. Though they will attach those values to their brands, and that automatically communicates an internal value to somebody who resonates with that same thing. So like we could say like a store. So like what, like all those stores that have like all like the Christian based products in them, like not just Bibles, but they have like novels that are based on Christian belief, Christian stories, Veggie Tales. Veggie Tales is a kids cartoon show, but it's rooted in Christianity still. So like that automatically has its own target audience because they internally understand the value. You don't have to tell them what it is outside of saying that it aligns with Christian values. Then you have extrinsic values, which is basically like um a value system outside of yourself that you wind up being influenced by. So like social things. If there's something like they have those parties that they promote with like the silent headphones, that stuff, I think that's really dumb. But those things, it's a social event. So people who want to be social inherently attach value to that. So there's a perceived value. If you are, like Nike commercials, look at all the like the most recent Nike commercials. They promote like something very specific. When at the height of like all of the like Black Lives Matter issues, and that was becoming a global thing. That wasn't just a thing in America. That was becoming a global thing. Nike had a response to that. They hired Kaepernick for that. They put him on there, and don't believe for a second that they did not make him keep his hair in that big old afro. That was deliberate. There was a lot of things in there. Nike has also done commercials where they have had, it was just all women in their glory, playing sports, doing their thing. That entire commercial up until like the last maybe third, like 10 seconds of that commercial, you didn't know that was a Nike commercial. It was just women playing sports. So all the current track stars that's under Nike, it was women in Nike outfits, but you could barely tell it was Nike outfits unless you froze the frame or it's all zoomed in. But at the end, what did Nike do? They attached themselves to that commercial. So they communicated the value that women were this priority in this piece, that women were in their glory, that they could compete in sports, and they could have their own space, women's space for sports. And then at the end, Nike attached themselves by basically saying Nike supports women because they put the women first. And then you found out it was a Nike commercial. So
So what's your
they were communicating that value that we support women. Though women who looking for sports gear, women that's looking for a brand to attach themselves to. Some women saw that and was like, I'm going with Nike. It's just that simple. But
what
it's communicating that value.
what's your name again?
Arts.
What's your name again?
My name is Anthony.
Anthony, where are you from? Where you reside at?
I'm in Chicago.
You in Chicago.
Yep.
How long you been knowing Jaquan?
How long would you say? At least about 2 years, I would
That's a
say.
good 2 years. I followed some people for years.
Yeah.
Okay. So he done actually like promoted you on his format, right?
To a degree, yeah. Without me asking, I haven't really asked for that.
Okay, but this is the point that I'm bringing up because we speaking on value, and instead of going to Nike, and we at the table, so don't get me wrong. Let's address what's at the table. So instead of throwing attention way to Nike and what others are doing. You know, this man is in North Carolina and he's showing value. He's demonstrating value. I believe that, you know, like people say, well, we can come and network. See, I believe that when you come together with people and they call it network, if you're not making no money within that time or after that time, then it's just a bunch of chatter. You know, so if
Wouldn't you agree that that was a lack of ability on multiple people involved of communicating value? Because
okay, I agree with that. And
okay,
let's use you as an example, if you don't mind.
go ahead.
This man, you've been knowing this man for 2 years. And I'm speaking to you as a brother because we at the table, and the things that we should be focused on is building this table. If we're at the table, we should have a realization and an understanding that when we come to the table, we all make money because we all spend money.
Continue.
I deal with the brother, but he showed value in me. I put him on the payroll. See, if he can't make money with me and I can't make money with him, you see what I'm saying? We just chattering. So we have to be careful of who we bringing to the table. This conversation, the reason I'm here, is about how do we get our business up where we making this money. You know, Nike is no concern to me. You know what I'm saying? I have
Is
to make my money to
is
go.
so with what you're saying, because you keep bringing this Nike thing up, I'm
You
concerned with
brought the Nike up.
I'm concerned with whether or not what I said might have been misunderstood, because what I'm speaking on is that Nike is excellent at communicating value. They don't miss when it comes to communicating value. So they are an excellent case study in figuring out how you should be able to communicate to the target audience you want, which is to put them first. Something you already said, so I believe you understand it. Maybe my words were not clear enough, and I get that.
Which
But
they target
that
the minorities.
that's where you
Which they
start.
target
You start
the
with
minorities.
right, because the minorities have the value, and they know that, and so they communicate what they believe matters most, and they don't miss. They
So
don't miss.
based on that study, how do you apply it to the table? Because if you studying them and you understand that, now bring it to the table because this is what we need. That's the value that we need.
Mm-hmm.
So if we at the table, if the four of us is at the table and you take studying that, because I haven't, she may have haven't, the Quan may have haven't, but if you had that knowledge and you can bring it to the table where we can all circulate the money, bring it back into the table, then that's what needs to be applied to the table.
And I
But
had a question too.
go ahead.
Because when we say this is back on the Nike example, when you said they do excellent like targeting their audience,
Mm-hmm.
what's the how can I say this? How does do you have an idea of how they like what's the groundwork for how they may do that? Because it'd be like if let's just say I'm coming up,
Yeah.
like if we could find a groundwork of how that big company do it, then maybe somebody down here could start and we can get an idea of it.
Is easier than you think it is. And me and you done talked about it, so maybe it's just not fresh on your mind right now.
Yeah.
But me and you done talked about it, and I think you doing it. It's just the conversion part is the part that you mastering right now. Because I think you know how to collect it, but converting it is a different thing. Which is, I mean, that's not something you just put two and two together and then it works. Like converting is a whole nother skill set than gathering. And James said it earlier. It's data. It's all
The
data.
wealth is about
Nike,
the data.
Nike connects
And
collects data. Every time you buy something from Nike, they are collecting data. They know where that sale came from. They know what time that sale was made. They know so much about it. Nike does survey. Nike collects data when you visit their website. Like James already said it, there's so much data on you that is free and available to everybody. That is so much information on you. James broke it down to like simple things like your birthday, your social security number, you know, where you
your
live,
address, all that.
all of these things James already talked about. And that's why I said I want to recenter the conversation back on some key things that we talked about early in. We kind of muddied the water a little bit, and I want to clean it because those are key things. Communicating value starts with collecting data. How can you do it? I think I told you about this book that this book helped me to, so a lot of times I read and books help me put things that I already know into words, or should I say things that I feel. They help me put those things that I feel into words. And there's a book, let me see, I'm looking for it. I got it on my shelf. It's a book
Desiree, you can speak next too.
it's a book called The Secret. Here it is. Boom. This book right here. The Secret Lives of Customers. This book is actually an entertaining book because it's not just data, read about data and case studies. No, this is actual story. So the story of this book is there's a lady who owns a couple coffee. She owns a couple of coffee chains on the East Coast, right? She is doing well, but she's noticing that her day one, which should be her flagship, is starting to fall behind. So she hires a private investigator to figure out why her store is falling behind. This private investigator is somebody who does well in business and knows a lot about like data and collecting information on people. That's why it's called The Secret Lives of Customers, because he basically does the job of a private investigator and goes into all of her establishments, goes into her competition establishments, and he literally sits and talks to people and collects data on why they're shopping where they're shopping now, why they stop shopping there, what do they do before they come to her establishments, what do they do after they leave her establishments, what are they doing while they're in her establishments, what are the reasons they stop using her products, what are the reasons they continue to use her products, what product did they start using, and what products are they using now. Like all of this different data, he collects all of this. And at the end of, I think, what is like a few weeks, he gives this lady a report. And what one thing that she was concerned about is that her like biggest customer, this guy she sees all the time, she's not seeing him anymore. And the people who come there to also patronize the business are wondering where he is. Now he's an older gentleman, so she thinks she's concerned that he might have passed on or something like that. But what she finds out through this investigation is that she stopped communicating the values that made her who she was, who that made her business what it was, that got her to where she could franchise her business all across the East Coast. That's what he shows her through this. Now, at the end of this book, once you finish reading the story, and it's like, man, that's crazy. I learned a lot. In the back of this book is literally the framework to how this man like built this basically this timetable, this collection of information that he figured out. And I'll just show you one little small thing in this book. It might be hard to see, but right here is a simple timetable that he did by hand. He didn't need no computer, no crazy stuff. This timetable is a market map, and right here on the side, one side of it says jobs, and the other side says circumstances. And you can see the X's, right? And the X's are where the jobs and the circumstances line up. So it's almost like playing tic-tac-toe. So one of the things in here is one job is get schoolwork done. That's the job because it's something you need to, it's a task that needs to be completed. So he considers it a job. Get schoolwork done. One of these people does that late morning. So that is data that is collected on you in a lots of different ways. Like apps know that about you. Apps know what time you on them and what you looking at. You know where they send that data? To people who pay to advertise on their space. And those people pay those companies to send them that information so that they can figure out what time, what day, what location to place an ad to communicate to you the value that they want you to understand. So that
And
what they
if I could interject on that too, that remind me, I used to take calls for a company that sold a health product. And as soon as somebody went on a online to their stuff, they would buy the call list from that company. And I
yeah,
would used to do the cold calling and everything. So
yeah,
it reminds me of that. But I don't want to I know we've been talking, Desiree. I know you had to go because I ain't want you in here and can't talk.
Well, yeah,
Desiree didn't get to
so
talk yet.
I know I came in late, and this is probably the quietest I've ever been. This is growth for me. But and it's a pleasure to meet you, James, and
Thank you.
I'm here in Texas as well. So and thank you for also putting Daquan on the payroll, because I'll just say it here first. Like, I've never seen a man spend so many hours like helping promote everybody else and not seeing the people promoting what he actually does. And that
Yep.
part is what I think, as soon as I saw it come across my phone, what does support mean to you? I was like, oh, hell, let me get on here, look and see what this is about, because Daquan and I have this conversation. Now, with that being said, I also, I'm going to play devil's advocate or just speak my mind. That's who I am with you guys. I will say this, when we sit here and say networking, I can see where you can say, if it's not bringing us in money, then it's some chatter. To me, yes, in a way, because obviously we all want to make the money, right? That's our end game goal. But I also think that there's that networking piece into it, because of the fact that it's about personal growth. It's about growth in your business. And sometimes if you're not networking with different people, how are you knowing what that data is that you're supposed to be collecting? So for me, for instance, I work for the City of Dallas City Attorney's Office. I run our Veterans Treatment Court. That's just one of the many jobs that I do. And so, meeting, Anthony on here, being in the military himself, when we collaborate, when we're sitting here networking, whether it's chatting, whatever you want to label it to be, there's been growth because there's things that I've learned. I've been able to ask him questions. I've been able to follow his journey. And it's even the growth outside of, so my return to that, I guess what you'd say, is even though I'm not profiting off of what he's doing by that networking, in return, I see the passion that he has behind what he's doing for you. So of course, in return, I'm then there supporting what he's doing. Am I making anything off of it? No, but sometimes it's not about just the money. That's not what support is. Sometimes support could be whether you're a mentor support, whether you're doing volunteer support, whether you're making bank off of that support. But what bothers me and what caught my eye again is that I feel like sometimes I'm guilty of it. I'll admit it. Daquan is hella guilty of it. We tend to invest too much into other people's growth instead of seeing what could be done for our own personal growth.
Yep.
That's what bothers me, is if it's not, and this is where you kind of said, when you tag yourself and you promote it for so long and then there's nothing coming back to you, it's time to untag. You're right. That is such a true statement. You can only invest so much into somebody else before, guess what? Now you're kind of up underneath that, you're up underneath them and no longer recognized for what your purpose is. No longer noticed for what your why is. And so you have to sometimes take a step back. Don't take it personal, but we're all out here to make a living. We're all out here to promote whatever our cause is. And so, but, and it is about learning what your target audience is. Anthony was exactly right. Like, we have to know. And that's the greatest thing, I think, for me, coming on and doing different lives or different podcasts is I'm hearing different feedback from people all over, people with different walks of life. It was hard for me being a non-veteran coming into veteran services. And, we talked about this, Anthony. I was completely told, like, what the hell do you know? You're not a veteran. I don't want to speak to you. You don't understand this. But you know what? I stayed persistent in it. I did my research. I chose to listen to stories that I know most people could care less to hear. But that's how I was able to educate myself to be able to be confident enough that now it's like anywhere I go here in Texas, they're like, no, she's one of us. The same in Montana. They were like, hell, she's a veteran. She's auxiliary to us. Like, she knows everything. And it took hard work and persistence it to be able to have that type of respect. And I think that to me is, that's kind of what support is. It's about respecting what everybody else is like. Respect yourself, but also respect if somebody else is going to support you, you need to be doing that same thing in return. It's so easy for us to ask Daquan, can you run this across your screen? But how many people are actually going on there and saying thank you to him, sharing what he does, promoting his business? Maybe you can't financially put him on your payroll. I get that. There's other forms of support.
Oh, yeah.
There's other forms of support by recognizing who is supporting your ass. That's what you need to be doing. And so, and we lack that. We lack that because people are too worried about what's in it for them. What can I gain of it? How is this going to help me? Instead of thinking of who is it that helped get you there.
Well, he definitely have a quality product, and it's definitely at an affordable price.
Absolutely.
So it's really, in my mind, there's no excuses why, he doesn't get more support than he gets, especially when so many. See, it's one thing, I'm in everybody's life for y'all to use me, but I'm not in your life for you to misuse me. That's a difference, and that's what he has to come up out of in his own time. If he don't, he'll continue to go through different scenarios, but he'll never advance until he passed the test. You have to pass the test to move to the next level. That's just life. That's just the American way. Even coming from birth, you have to be able to advance year after year after year after year, or they call it failing. That's just the American way.
And I think, I think his name says it all, though. I mean, when you look at his IG, it's Humble Joe. He's humble. Like, he doesn't even ask for it, but he should, in all honesty, and Daquan, I love you. We spend how many hours every night talking to each other, like, brainstorming and just, leaning on each other. Daquan needs to say he knows his worth. The problem is he needs to let everybody else know he knows he's worth it. He is so amazing. And I think, but again, whether, and it's none of my damn business if Anthony has him on any kind of payroll for advertising or not. But I do know this personally because I've been on these calls, is that I know that Daquan has looked up to Anthony for mentorship, and that's his way of repayment for also that support. So that's why I don't think it's necessarily a financial thing. It turns into a financial thing when done right. That's where it comes from, is if Anthony can sit there and mentor Daquan to knowing that he deserves respect. And I hate to say it like this because it's kind of like a little bit, kind of spicy, like my attitude sometimes. He needs to demand that damn respect. He really does. At the end of the day, he needs to quit doing it. He needs to quit being a yes man. And he needs to start saying, absolutely, but this is what my cost is. Because for a year now, I've been promoting you for free, and you haven't even acknowledged that.
But see, I agree, and I disagree in a manner. Because, like I say, I listen to him, but it comes down to the fact at some point we have to see the man's spirit. It's not in what he speaks out, it's who he is. We have to start seeing the people's spirit. And I love the conversation because, like I say, if we're going to build a table, if we're coming to the table, we need to address the people at the table first. Let's get our table in order.
And James, I will say, if you knew Daquan, even when I first met him, and I've only known Daquan for maybe 4 months, maybe by now, and he already has been his spirit has already shown in so many other ways with me. He's already become a much different person. So I get that. You need to see that side of him. I completely understand and respect that, but I just also want him to be recognized. And I'm not saying you're not, because obviously you are. You brought it. You put him on the payroll, and I applaud you, and I am grateful for that because I truly think Daquan deserves it. But I also think that, it's also got to be something that Daquan has to put it out there. That's got to be his standards. I can't look at Anthony and say, because I had you on the podcast, man, send me a pair of shoes for free and expect it. You can't expect stuff in return for free, period. But I do want them shoes, Anthony.
No, it's fine. We know, we working on that anyways, because we got a whole different agenda going on. But I like to interject because, like, I like the idea of spirit and what spirit means and how spirit communicates value as well. However, no, not however. Also, I would like to add on top of that and say that in business, you got to go with things you can measure. You cannot measure spirit. Like I don't know. Like, how do I know how much spirit somebody has? How do I know what a quality spirit is? That's a perspective thing, and I cannot measure perspective. I like metrics because I can depend on metrics because I can measure them and I can make decisions based on them. So what Daquan knows, and it's something that we didn't talk about all the time. Like you brought it up earlier. Like I love circling back. Circling back. When you showed me your data and how your data was going, what some of my comments about your data was like, this is excellent data. And what were some of the things I encourage you to do? I encourage you to dig into that data and study that data and come up with a plan on how that data communicates value and how you can use said value from said data. You were saying like thousands of people, you connect with almost millions of people in this year already. You connected with almost millions of people. Now it's time to take that data and convert it. It's time to make it convert into dollars, which can be done because you have a metric to measure it by, because the metric comes in the form of analytics. Analytics is nothing but data, is numbers. So that was something we talked about. And so like this thing of like, I recognize and I hear the challenge. And the challenge for me is nothing. I accept every fight. I welcome any challenge. The challenge of putting him on the payroll, too easy. But guess what? The thing is I don't need nothing from him, and I want everything for him. So when he approaches me, this is about a brotherhood of watching somebody. You said spirit. I'm about to use that word, James. He has an entrepreneur spirit, and he is ready to go somewhere with a unique skill set that is valuable in today's market. I recognize that. I don't need nothing, but what I want is to see somebody else that I'm excited to see, which does not happen with everybody. I'm not excited for everybody's product because the value is not perceived by me. It's not their fault. The value is just not perceived by me. But I see the value in him. I don't need anything currently. If I do, we'll approach that. But that does not mean that, hey, you approached me, because the first time Daquan approached me was with a question. And a lot of times that's how he approaches me. He approached me with one or two things: to shoot the breeze or with questions, because he values me. So if what I say means something to somebody, then I will pour it out, because what's the use of keeping it in my big old head? You just making my head bigger. I like to wear my caps, So I'm gonna pour this information out because you could use it. Maybe I don't have no use for that information no more, but you could. And then again, too, is I like to pay it forward. So when he showed me his data, because what you're talking about is a issue that Daquan has already come to me and say, well, what's some tips, what's some pointers you got? I respect what you're doing. Tell me something. So what I did was I said, let me see it. Let me see what you're talking about. I looked at his data and I'm like, this is amazing. And we talked about converting data into sales. Like, okay, well, check it out, man. Have you tried this? What about this? Here's some things. Hey, take this data, analyze it a little more, see what you can do with it, because it all can be used. Is how you use it and how it converts. Now we can talk about quality over quantity. Like you have an excess of quantity, Daquan. Like the some of the analytics you showed me was over 100,000, 200,000. These large metrics of what people are viewing from what you putting out in video, in pictures, and all of these things. And I said, man, like those numbers, you making bigger numbers than me. But I'm converting though. That's the difference, is I'm converting. So there's something I'm communicating that is not being communicated on this side. So we started to talk about conversion, because I put two and two together, say you got bigger numbers than me, but you converting less. So now we need to talk about converting instead of talk about reach. Your reach is immaculate, amazing, but the conversion is a thing. So one of the things we talked about, if you remember or not, is who the target audience is. Who is this stuff converting to? You know, because some of my things would be screening who it is that you actually promote. They need you. You remember me talking about that? Saying they need you. You're the keystone. They need you because without you, well, who else are they going to promote them? You saying bring them all. It's time to start screening. No, you can't bring them all because I think now the value has been perceived. They see what you're doing and they know it's valuable because I know they done seen results. If you get these hundreds of thousands of people weekly, monthly, you know, seeing this stuff, these commercials that you putting out for these people at zero to no cost, the value is there because the numbers speak for themselves. Hey, you getting hundreds of thousands of views on whatever it is that you do for a business. The value is there. Now the question is okay, who's converting and who's not? Now, because James already talked about that, and I'm just using different words. James already talked about that. I'm talking about conversion. I'm gonna say it like that. A sale is a conversion. Who went from being a viewer to a buyer? Conversion. Those people are the people who continue to be promoted. Everybody else, they can watch the commercials that you putting out from the paid people because you've been at this for a while, and those people have gotten their freebies. I'm sure they done seen some results. Now, if any of them did a kickback to you, that's beautiful because I mean they should at least be saying, hey, this guy promotes people. You should go and visit his page and see what he can do for you. That's the bare minimum they should be doing. You know, if they done made some money and they making money that's got like some liquid to it, meaning they could spend it on whatever they feel like spending it on, maybe they should be considering, hey, now I can start paying you because I'm doing good. Because of you, I'm doing good. I can start bleeding a little money your way. Now, the people who can't, they can't. I'm sorry, but they gotta wait until they got the money. So now we can focus on people who are actually converting over because they're spending because they're seeing results, and I know they are. It's no way that you getting all of these views that promote these people and it's not working. But that's also something we talked about is knowing your target audience. Some of them people they got to go because they just promoting a pretty face. They got to go because that also changes your value too. When people see that, they go, "This is just a pretty face. What is this?" You're promoting chefs. You're promoting people in the beauty industry. You're promoting people who repairs people's credit. You know, you're promoting real estate agents. You're promoting business people. These models and stuff, man. Go find somebody who promotes models. There's agencies for that. You know, like you got to figure out who actually is your target audience, and your target audience is going to be the people who are converting, the people who are spending money on your services. Those people. Now, the other people, you know, it's really up to you. Once you get it down to who's spending money and who's not, now you can start to consider networking value, which again, as we already spoke on, which is a good thing because your way by saying like, hey, the quantity brought me results. But again, we talked about this a long time ago when I talked about building champions, right? Basically, people who can speak on your business without you being there. 9 times out of 10, your best champion is somebody who paid for your service and seen a result. Those people need to be the people who can speak for you when you're not in those rooms. So they can say, I spent $50. This is the results I got, better than the results I get on my own. Now people attach value to it. $50, X amount of results, and they ready to spend. I got $50 too. And word of mouth is still number one when it comes to marketing. You can pay all you want for ads. You can do all of that. But if you bought something and you seen a positive return on your investment, then you are more likely to speak to somebody else and say, hey, this works. That is more likely to convert another person to sell. That's why word of mouth is still number one, because it has a track record to it. You know, I paid for your promotion services. Like James said, so y'all basically doing 52 commercials, right? You doing 52 commercials in a year. If James sees an increase in profit, that word of mouth will speak way more value than somebody saying like, "Hey, look, he promotes people on it."
Mm-hmm.
I spent X amount of dollars for 52 commercials, one commercial for every week of the year. Let's say, I don't know, I made $15,000. That is an increase of X amount of dollars. You could say that's a 10% increase, and people will still say you had a 10% increase in sales because you spent X amount of dollars on 52 commercials. And somebody will say, well, damn, if I go ahead and do that, what would my increase be?
Okay, here's the plan.
And that word of mouth creates that conversion right there. So that networking piece cannot be ignored. The financial piece, I agree, comes first, but that networking piece should come right after that, because you also, like Desiree said, networking in the form of mentorship. I don't need nothing from a lot of people. I'm doing very well. I spend a lot of my time studying, reading data, reading books. If I'm not painting, that's what I'm doing. If I'm not with my family, that's what I'm doing. If I'm not mentoring, that's what I'm doing. And I keep my mental sharp because people ask me questions like, Daquan, I don't like to, even though I do have to sometimes, I prefer not to say, let me get back to you on that. I'm going to go study and I'm going to get back to you. I want to be able to answer the question as soon as you ask it. It happens, but I prefer it that way. And why I prefer it that way? Because it keeps me with my nose in somebody's book, on somebody's blog, in somebody's courses, figuring out this stuff. Entrepreneurship changes like every 2 seconds. So you got to stay on top of what's new and what the new techniques are. So
if I could, because I don't want to hold y'all all up here too long. So we already pushing an hour. I don't know what everybody day like. I don't work tomorrow, so you know what I mean. Like, I don't know if James, but your schedule, like, I don't want to.
I got.
You getting up? Yeah, I knew it. But if I don't know if you want to cut it here, because like I said, I don't want to hold y'all past y'all time, man. But I appreciate all y'all for real, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate being invited on and so forth. And people, this is who James Burns is. I like to bring out the passion. I like to bring it to the table because when I get in the car with people, I want to know who I'm in the car with. When people get into the car with me, they mama know that they in good hands because they with James, and James not gonna do anything foolish. Me and Daquan spoke early, and me and Angie have a good business going on. We make our own candles and stuff. When I met this brother, I sent him some candles, on the house, because that's how the quality of my product is. And the plan is, with the entrepreneurs that I know and who I done been shoulder to shoulder with in different events, the entrepreneurs I done met and the business people, customers that I done met through hosting events and meeting people. I said, well, okay, I'm gonna take some money and I'm gonna push it his way, and that'll put me in the light on a whole different platform. But it also opened his eyes to a whole lot of other things, because he even though he's silent and humble in his way, sometimes he needed talking to. He got feelings too. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Especially when we're around those and we feel, when we know we done really pushed and helped others and so forth like that. But one time I told him, man, why don't you just ask everybody for $1? It's over 9 billion people. It's over 9 billion people in the world. If you can't ask all the people who you help for $1, and you can't get 1,000 people or 2,000 people to send you $1, then okay, you done been on that path. Now it's time to climb a hill, climb a mountain, jump across a ditch, It's time to get on a whole different path.
I love that, James. And you know what?
Yeah.
You could probably get rich off of just asking for $1. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Like $1.
Yeah.
If you
I-
can't send
Yeah.
one damn dollar for the
think
for
I
the
got-
amount of ads that I run for people, but you know what?
Yeah.
You got a point. And you know,
I
I'm
think
glad
I
you
got-
shared that because now every night when D and I talk, and we talk every damn night. I
Yeah.
promise you, I'm gonna be reminding him of that $1 because
Not that dollar.
I'm gonna be pushing him to it because he's definitely worth it. What his services offer are worth it. And I love that you just shared that. And I definitely, before you do get off, I just want to say, you know, I love also that you keep it real what your opinion is. That's the greatest thing about all four of us being here is we all four have a different personality. We all have a different passion. We are in a different, you know, business of what we're you know, passionate and what our why and purpose is. But it's good to always hear other people's opinions when you know that you can have an adult conversation about it. You can walk away from it knowing that, you know what, maybe maybe right now we're not hearing it clearly because we're so passionate of how we feel. But when we take a step back and we think, you know what, that's right. You know what I'm saying? That is the type of support I need. That's the type of support I deserve. And so I too, these boys will tell you, these men will tell you right here, they've been on enough of these shows with me that I'm just as passionate, blunt, straightforward. I don't filter who I am because this is me. This is what you're going to get inside here. This is what you're going to get in the outside world, you know? And so I do thank you guys for letting me, you know, hop on and just kind of give another opinion, a woman's opinion. That's always important.
You at the table. This is the first day at the table.
But you know, I think that there's a lot, and I really truly hope that anybody that's watching this, and I hope that Daquan goes back and rewatches it, and I hope he stops and thinks about what each and every one of us brought to the table tonight, and that he comes back and says, I do deserve it because I do work my butt off to make sure that everybody else, I'm investing my time in everybody else. What is $1 of investment in me going to hurt somebody else? And if they don't think he's worth that $1, he don't need to be running their ad, period.
And he I believe he shared or posted a commercial that he done for me. But what I wanted him to do, he's the artist. So I told him, man, go to my reels, go to my page, and you create it. You create it. Because I know a lot of people know me, a lot of people know him. And you know, the way of the world is now, okay, J&A Sense Candle Company on there. I need to be on there too. I need to make a stand too. You know, wherever, and people are like that. Wherever you go, they want to show that they can reach them steps as well. You know, so if that's what, you know, the world is on today, the following and then that's what you have to go off of. That's the agenda you have to push. You have to give what the people want. People want convenience.
Yeah.
You know, so you make it convenient for them. You know, make it convenient for them. So, you know,
well, James,
I'm just transparent.
Gonna tell you right now, you're not too far from where I am in Dallas, so don't think I won't come collect me some candles too.
I'm in Arlington, Texas. And guess what? You can go online. Let me show you something.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you, Desiree.
Listen, them candles there,
the coffee. I got 4 of them. Okay. I'm sorry, but the coffee is my number one. You got it. I'm telling you, one thing about these candles, I gave the coffee one for me 5 minutes filled my house. That's a 2-bedroom apartment.
Well,
5 minutes. It's really that good, and that's what made me like. For instance, all y'all did something for me. Rather it was mentally, rather it was physically, a product, whatever it was, y'all all did something. Like
the thing is, Daquan, the thing is, we all want people in our lives who will stand up for us, man. You know, and that's what this whole table was about. You know, creating a table to know, like, hey, man, this is the table. If you come to this table, your ass better be ready because we don't hold back no punches. This is the heavy hitter table. And at the end of the day, we can sit back and laugh because today was about helping the brother right there, but also opening us up to see things in a whole different way. Now look at here. This is what my baby created.
I seen it online. I seen it online, the Fruit Loop one.
Yeah, this is the Fruit Loop candle. And when you open it, when you open this mug, and this mug is no joke. If you look at some of our posters online, we do a candle challenge where the customer holds the candle down as long as their arms are reached downward, and they smell them candles with the top open. You don't have to put our candles up to your nose. A lot of people buy our candles.
I already picked out my scents on there, and that's only because obviously, I do them in car freshies too, which is, the butt naked, the sweater weather, the tiki. Like those are my. Look, I got bottles and bottles of those oils in here, but I sure will support you and order my candles.
We got it, and I guarantee you, you pit any spray we got, any candle against any candle you ever purchased, and we outdoing them. And y'all can't see, but this is my living room. I hold my living room from wall to wall is our business.
Anthony, that looks like you're room all the time when you're on the line.
A little neater, but yeah.
Look, Anthony's is the same way. I'm always like, my stuff doesn't get to be shown like that because mine is giving services back. Mine is obviously helping our veterans in the community. And so I don't get the product like you guys get in the background, but just know I'm growing every day, and I'm just
everywhere. Just stuff everywhere.
That's the mindset. That's the mindset. I literally told Angie one day, babe, we gonna sell all the furniture. She said, "What?" I said the living room is about to be our business room. And that's what we're doing.
I've been there when I did a little boutique store. I say a little one, but my whole house was covered in T-shirts, vinyls, bags, anything you could personalize, panties, you name it, koozies, and it was like everybody would walk in and just be like, and I'd be like, this is my business. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what's paying the electricity to stay on and for us to have a roof over our heads. So guess what? We do what we got to do. Some people don't understand it and they think, whoa. But you know what? I think that's teach their own. But I definitely thank everybody, that came on just to give their opinion. I really do. I think it also helps me to, and Daquan knows this, from an off, conversation, like, I got to start also investing in myself and where I want to see myself go.
That's what's up.
And, and I think that sometimes saying no is going to be okay. But I just, I can lecture you guys and Daquan and tell him all day long that, he needs it. But the truth is he knows I need it just as bad. And so, I know what my passion is and what my purpose is. And so I think that that's just wonderful that I was able to jump on tonight and hear the opinions of everybody else as well.
Yeah, well,
and I'm not giving up spending money on my lashes, Anthony. I don't care what you say.
I didn't say you had to. I just said like it's a community.
I make my money, okay? As a single woman, if I can pay my bills, if I am able to spend something on myself, dadgummit, if I wear lashes and lip gloss, I feel like I can conquer the damn world, okay? Honestly, I just took them off right before Daquan asked me if I wanted to jump on, and I was like, dadgummit, but and today I did something for myself too. I went and got lipo injections in my stomach and my arms. It's like it dissolves this fat. I posted it on social media. You have to check it out, Anthony, but and it's really like, we understand it's not a miracle. It's not going to make it all go away. I have my own insecurities. I wanted to do something for myself. And so it's about a lifestyle change. It's about it's about feeling healthier because you're required to exercise, eat differently. And this was just one way to help, give that push. But it happened to be that somebody who had been watching me on social media said she loved my energy. We started talking. She told me what she did. And so now we're trying to, help support each other. And, that just goes back to that whole support thing, whether it comes to you in a mentorship, mentally, physically, financially, I think that there's support in so many different ways. And I just, I don't think it's always financially, but at the end of the day, let's be real. We all need money to survive, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But what I love about what you just said is your transparency. Too many people hiding nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But when you had a freedom to say no, see, what determines a person's true strength is their ability to say no. And immediately afterwards, they're challenged and tempted to be, resisted again and again and again and again. The temptation is always there. So when you able to say no and be free about it, then you at your ultimate strength at that time. So for you to say that and for you to speak that and be transparent about that, that was a strong moment for you, because it was a strong moment for me. But everybody see things or hear things in a whole different light based on their own personal experience.
Well, it's also because sometimes when you tell somebody no, all they're thinking about is they're not hearing you when you're saying, I can't do this anymore, or I need to move on. They're not hearing that it's because you want your personal growth. You want to evolve to go somewhere else. They're hearing, well, how's that going to affect me? How's that affecting what I'm doing? It's a selfish thing. It's all about me, me, me. And, and then people are afraid to say, I can't do this anymore, or, I want to go on my own for my own business. But we got to quit putting everybody else's needs before our own needs. And that's, and I'm, like I said, I am as open as a book. I am guilty as hell of it. I am taking the time today to go even do these lipo injections, was not, which let me do that shout out to, just in case. It was with Precise Glow. Her name is Dorothy. Amazing. It was fantastic. But I wanted to do something for myself, not because I want to sit there and promote like how your body should look. Society does that enough for us, right? I wanted to promote the fact that I wanted to do something that was for myself, something that made me feel. I'm about to be 44 next month. I've got a granddaughter that's turning 2 this month. I want to be able to see more grandkids. I want to be able to have that energy. And I also just wanted to empower other women that if you do it for you, you're doing it for the right reasons. If you're doing it for what society sees you and expects you to be, then you're not mentally ready for that.
No.
And so it is me versus me. This is something I want to do for myself, because I can sit here and bitch about it. I can look in the mirror every day and be disgusted with, some extra arm skin or what. But you know what? Nobody else can change that for me. That's all on me.
That's right. Yeah. And see, and like, so I'm just going to stay on this because it's happening. And I just like to pull the gold out of the dirt that when I listen to conversations. And so even that taking care of yourself, something I don't know if we've talked about that collectively between us three, because I've spoken to you a little more, but understanding taking care of yourself communicates value in itself, and it communicates value to you. It teaches you to take yourself serious. Simple things I buy candles. I got a bunch of candles right up here, so I'm coming for you, James.
You don't have a J&A Essence Sense candle. Something to get excited about.
For myself, so I'm coming to see these candles. I got a collection of lotion. I got colognes, all this kind of stuff. I got more soap in the house than anybody. Just collection of different smells and stuff. But that's value for me, because those smells alter mood for me.
Let me tell you something, man. We also do stuff for the military as well. We also do stuff for Cancer Month. We do stuff for Black History. For the we do pride candles. For the military, I could put U.S. Army on the candle and put your face on it with you in your uniform. We customize candles.
Look, I wasn't even thinking about you for a minute there, Anthony. I thought he was channeling with me there, okay? I was completely ignoring you. I'm thinking that. I need something in my office, so that
you want your eyes with your eyelashes on there, girl. We got
it. That would be in my own house. But actually, Daquan, if I would have had one of his candles, it would have been promoted well the other day we had a young lady on the show that's very near and dear to my heart. That's a new artist. And I took a picture of in the bathtub with a candle going. And I was like, some of us unwind differently. And it had her on my iPad with her music. So it was showing that I was, of course, promoting her music, because that's what the whole picture was about. But see, there was a candle in there. I could have had one of them J&A Essence ones up in there and knocked out two birds with
her picture on it if you wanted. If you wanted her picture on it, we could have done it for you.
Right.
Look, I'm just simply saying that, but that's also my way of when I say to people about the whole supporting thing, even though even if I didn't know her personally, or and I don't know you on a personal level, but just having your candle in that picture and knowing that it's going out to all these other people, that's just my way of supporting. Now, can I financially support? Are you asking for not financial? No, you're not even asking me to promote the candle, but it's
Yeah.
what I say in that post.
Oh yeah, I got you though, girl, because I got $5 candles.
Look, I saw
got-
my sweater weather one was $5. Look at my sweater weather one, and my butt naked one was too. I did my homework.
Okay.
How do you think I knew what your Fruit Loop one was? Okay, it was like
Yeah.
a Saturday morning Fruit Loop one. Baby,
Yeah.
I don't come unprepared.
Yeah.
We see. Yeah.
Look at this girl.
And
Look at Anthony's gonna start saying stalker things in a minute because every time he jumps on live, I'm like, "Hey, friend." But
yeah, that Desiree is always there, and you know, and that too is like so. Community, like communicating value and communicating support. Both of those things do two things. So even with that, so like we want to talk about like this social media age and how that applies. Like, you know, I'm big time social media. You know, I'm sitting there studying this and stuff day and night. That level of support that you provides me an algorithmic boost because they pay attention to who's watching me. And if you don't know, like, so on Instagram in particular, Facebook, it doesn't necessarily work that way. But on Instagram in particular, every time you interact with me, somebody in your network, in your extended network, sees what I'm doing because Instagram
That's
algorithm,
cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Instagram algorithm understands that you find value in my content. So they share my content with people within your network, which could be thousands of people. They will see that. That is a value that costs you $0. You don't have to spend no money with me. So when people aren't spending money with me, no big deal. I'm focused on the people who are spending money, but I don't forget. Something I always say is to never forget the little guy. Always circle back to pick up the little guy because your base is built out of thousands, if not millions of little guys just holding you like this. They're keeping you afloat by doing simple things, by liking, by sharing, by sending a comment. Even if you only got 10 of those people, never forget those 10 people because those 10 people have a web and it's your job. It's your job, not their job. It's your job to figure out how to extend your influence in their webs. How to, and once you do once you do figure that out, now you're at a point where you can start to pour back in. So I'm at a point where I understand how to extend my influence. I'm at a point where I know how to convert people to sales. I'm at these points. So now I'm at the point where those who have provided me a comfortable base to do my own thing on top of, I'm here to say, hey, if you ask a question, it's yours. I know what this information is valued at, because trust me, this information that the client get from me, it's people paying for this. I got them right now. I can pull up a list of people who have to pay to have these conversations. But Daquan provides a value that I consider at this point in time equal, because by through extension of Daquan coming on one of my posts and, you know, saying good job, that simple thing provides a metric for me to look at and say, okay, well, people here, and here mess with Daquan, and through extension of Daquan saying show support to my brother, I can go and say, okay, these people interacted with Daquan's repost. These amount of people live here. These amount of people live here. They interact with Facebook at these times, these days, this, that, and the third. I don't need to ask Daquan to do anything else for me. But what I can do is say, hey, check it out. When you shared that post, you had X amount of people view it. You had X amount of people react to it, which is a like, share, comment, yada, yada. You had X amount of people who basically scroll past it, this, that, and the third. Hey, when you put these posts out, this is what happens. This data is valuable. Again, like we said, people pay for that. Daquan, you have way more experience than any of us do. People pay for that. People spend millions of dollars for that information. People pay, like, That's why you have to ask apps. You have to ask. Keep that in mind. You have to ask an app not to track you,
Yeah.
because people are calling these people and saying, "Hey, how much does that information cost?" You get millions of people every hour on your platform. How much does that cost? Like,
Well, I
I,
know every time
I want.
I say anything about you, Anthony, all of a sudden I get all these, shoe posts, all these sneaker
Yes,
posts. Like it's
yes.
like I'm like I didn't even say anything. I
It's
just, but
same
and that's
thing with
another thing.
all of y'all. Y'all should see what my feed looks like.
Well, that's Perry. Well,
Supporting
it's a
all
good
of
thing you
y'all.
don't. It's a good thing you don't comment
You
on
do
any of
shoes,
my.
Anthony?
It's a
Yes,
good thing you don't comment on some of my
Send
posts
me a
because I don't know what
send
would
me a
come up in
friend
your
request.
feed. Do
will
what
do.
now?
Oh, I will. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, but y'all should see what my feeds look like. Supporting Daquan, man, all them girls that do lashes and all of that stuff, bro. My feed be full of that stuff, because once you interact with somebody, social media says, well, you must be interested in this.
Right.
Even if the person who you interacted with does not have a direct link to that, Daquan don't sell eyelashes and wigs, but he promotes a lot of people who sell beauty products. So if I say something to him on one of those posts, they say, well, you must be interested in that stuff, because that's what this post is about. Because there are several different things that social media platforms do. Number one of the biggest things is image recognition software. So you don't have to say anything in a post. That they got that computer analyzing that picture
Yeah.
and figuring out what's in that picture.
Hell,
So
they're listening to us as we speak now. Like I
it's,
guarantee you, when we get off, I will have candle things in my feed. It
oh, no
listens to
doubt.
all the. I can talk about wanting to go camping, and the next thing you know, I've got all these different places
Right.
that are popping up on my feed. It listens to you, but that's also why, Anthony, I told you the other day when I jumped on your live and I asked that question about your shoes, right? And when I asked you about the process of
Yeah.
prepping them, it like I'm ever gonna prep a damn shoe, right? But I knew that by saying something on there, then it spreads it out to mine. What I'm saying? And you never know who's gonna catch it who didn't know anything about you. It was just another way of showing support. And that's
Yeah.
the thing is that people don't realize that you can support somebody with absolutely nothing coming out of your damn pocket.
No
Nothing.
dollar at all. You can literally make people money without having to spend your own money. And that's why, like, when we started early about talking about support, I mean, you wouldn't believe if I handed you my phone and I said go through my notes. There's over 200 something notes on my phone, and at least 50 of those, like, notes from me studying and reading and just like surveying, um that is all of my collection of information from, like, all these different sources on support. And some of these things are really just alleviating misconceptions, because support is full of misconceptions. Because, for one, like James, you talked about it so much that I hope whoever watches this really can understand the value in your words, and the ability to communicate emotional value to someone, and how important emotional value is. Now, I like to focus on more measurable things, because I think that emotional value is kind of hard to get around, because a lot of nuance. And you really got to work at it to figure it out. You got to, like, massage that thing until you go, okay, I got this. And it changes a lot too, because what we value emotionally changes day to day, depending on what you're going through. One of those things really to like that I like to put out is, like, understanding the misconceptions, because one thing that I know for sure, and I've tried to study as far as on the business side, is emotional intelligence. We are not all on the same playing field when it comes to understanding how we feel, how other people feel, and how to relate when it comes to that. I mean, I got at least 3 books over here on emotional intelligence, and I'm reading them books over and over and over again, just to try to, like, absorb some of this information for my own sake. So when it comes down to, like, communicating value, that I'm recognizing things. Like, one of the things I do not want a person to do when I'm speaking is to appear guarded. and learning language and what words I'm using, how I'm using them words, how I'm standing, even controlling my passion to understand that some people recognize that as aggression, and I can lose a sale right there, or I can lose a networking partner by being overly passionate, and that's recognized as aggression because some people won't see that as passionate. You know, some people go like, "Whoa," you know, like too much, you know, or be afraid, or sometimes to understand that, you know, sometimes I cross my arms when I'm listening. It's just comfortable. It's just comfortable to do so. But to understand that some people, if they're speaking while I'm crossing my arms, I will appear guarded. I'm not listening. To watch my arms, to watch my hands. If I'm in a very important conversation, I try to remember to either keep my phone in my pocket, or if I feel like my phone needs to be within arm's reach, to flip it over so my screen is not visible. That way it's understood that I'm actually paying attention. That will communicate an emotional value to this person. Um, Understanding like direct value, which more like is like an item. You know, understanding that, like I think me and you done talked about it before, Daquan, is like you don't sell fish to fishermen. That's important. You don't sell deer to hunters. You don't sell tires. You don't sell tires to people who sell tires. You don't do these kinds of things. You know, electricians don't go into Home Depot and try to sell them copper wire. You don't these things you don't do because it has no value here. We already have it. That's very important to understand. You know, you wouldn't go try to sell a plane at a boat dock unless it's a seaplane, plane that's supposed to be on water. You learn how to communicate proper value, and your product do that same thing. You know,
Right.
I sell luxury sneakers. I don't promote these sneakers to people who can't afford them. I'm communicating the wrong values. And I'm communicating that to people who don't see this as a priority. They can't value this. It's not a priority. It's hard to that's why I was talking about the metric of viewing your time viewing your time as an exchange rather than viewing money as an exchange, because we have a really weird way of viewing money, especially as Americans. We have a really weird way of viewing money. We kind of view money as like we can just like snatch it off a tree when we need it in this
Right.
like weird way. But your time, you know, you can't get back. So
Fact.
you really pay attention to how you use your time. And that's how I coach people about their money is like, yo, like even with buying equipment. So boom, this bottle, $6. If I worked a job and I only paid $10 an hour, which is a round, nice, easy, digestible number, $10 an hour, 1 hour for this bottle. This bottle, I've had this one for at least 2 years. Is maybe halfway full. In 2 years, I got this bottle halfway down. What's the value? I say it's a high value item. $6. $6. This bottle, $6. If I use this bottle until it's empty, I should have made at least $600 off this one bottle. That's just a rough estimate. So I know the value of this bottle, which means I know that if I need to work 1 hour for one bottle, I need to pick the right bottle, because the right bottle will help me convert this product into more sales.
And
If
if I
it's on your
could,
shelf, you can't count it.
Yeah, if it's on the shelf, it's not making money. In fact, it's losing money, which is something I talk about, like buying equipment, being careful when you buying equipment and not buying something that's for a future project, you know, especially like something that you don't have the skill set for. Like in my industry, a lot of people buy sewing machines without getting the education on how to use them.
Yeah.
right. James, you got to go, right?
Yeah, I
Because
gotta go, big
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
ready
yeah.
to do it in the future. They ready to work on the project in the future. But so I always say is like, consider it like this. If the sewing machine costs $600, every day that sewing machine is not used, that's $600 that you losing.
Exactly.
You will stop buying items that you're not prepared to use when you do that. Like if you're going to buy something, make sure that it has some sort of immediate value at least. And even in the fact of like, you definitely don't want to buy equipment that depreciates. Like you can't sell it right back for
Right.
you can't sell it right back for a value that you would be okay with. Like your car depreciates the moment you pull it off the lot.
Mhm.
We know that, right? So you should try to beat that car until the wheels fall off, because if you try to sell it back, it's worth significantly less the moment you took it off the lot. That includes used cars. You can't take a used car back and say, well, I want to sell it. Now it's worth even less than what you bought it for.
Right.
So you might as well use it the best you can. Don't buy a second car when you don't need a second car, because it's wasting money. It's wasting money. In cars, you need insurance, right? It's not just you buy the car. You got to put insurance on it. You got to, if it's a used car, you probably going to have to do some maintenance yourself after you buy it. So this thing is going to bleed cash out of you. It's not a good investment. And in business, you kind of got to think that same way. It's like, do I need this thing now, or can I wait?
I agree.
Well,
Now,
I
focus.
gotta hit.
Yeah, I gotta let
head out,
James
y'all.
go.
The wife about to feed me, so I gotta.
Yeah.
Gotta get
Oh
the
Lord, we
truck
don't want you
on.
to miss no meal, okay?
Oh no, can't miss no meal.
Look, I don't. Right now, I'm jealous of anybody who can eat, because now I'm on this whole no carbs, no sugar thing.
These chips,
Why you been
these
sitting there
chips-
eating on them chips that whole time? I was
chips-
sitting there thinking, I was like this right here. Let me drink this water. Let me push this water, dadgummit.
these chips sure got a lot of flavor.
You holding up a damn Fruit Loop candle at me and stuff. I was like, he
These
coming for me.
chips,
That's the devil trying to stop what I'm working
That's
on, okay?
devil.
Baby, not
These chips
today.
got a whole bunch of flavor, girl.
Look at the devil didn't realize it. The devil didn't realize that I was stronger than him today.
Oh,
And they're affordable as that bottle of water.
Listen. I did check it out. He does. Even that Saturday Fruit Loop one is like $7, I think, right now, if I'm not mistaken. And he had so many, like my favorite scents, the ones I named off earlier, that even the coffee one is on there, I think, as well. But he had a lot that are on sale. I love it. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to order some.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One thing I think everybody on this show will tell you is that I am a big supporter, but I also, even today, the girl that I said that did my lipo injections, I said, until I really can push your product, I want to come and try it myself. And that's where you got to educate yourself, and you got to know you got to know what the value is in that product. I can sit here all day long and tell somebody, this is amazing, this is amazing, this is amazing. But how the hell would I know if I've never tried it, if I've never seen those results? So, of course I'm going to order your candles, because then I can give a true opinion, whether it's sassy
That's what
or
the
not.
Quan did.
Whether it's a sassy opinion or not, I can give my opinion on it, but then at least people know I'm still coming at them real. That's me. I just want to always be true and authentic to who I am.
Yeah.
Here's our motto. If you give us your trust, then it's up to us to give you something to believe in.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, don't think you won't be seeing an order coming in from me this coming up week here, okay? Because
you won't be disappointed. I promise you.
Y'all heard it here, and it's recorded. It's out there now, okay? So don't make me do a clip. Don't make me do a little reel from this one and then do another reel being like,
do the reels, and you gonna say, man, that man ain't lying about it.
Well, I thank you guys so much, and I know everybody's got to get off here. You got to go eat before your wife decides to wrap it up and put it in the fridge on you. And Anthony, of course, it's always a pleasure. I'm here for it. Daquan didn't even have to tell me what this was about tonight. If he just said Anthony was on, I'd have been like, "Where's my boy?" I jumped on. And so,
are we friends? Are we friends?
Are we friends?
Yeah.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
I would have to look and see. I'm not gonna lie. Like Daquan will tell you, I opened up my social media from private to public 3 weeks ago. I've always kept it private, and it grew from 1.7K to like 4.6 in like less than 3 weeks. And I was like, I don't even know who these people are, Daquan, but I'm here for it. I'm loving it.
Send us a friend request. We're gonna need it when you try this candle out.
Look, you might need it if you look at my Facebook page.
Hey, look, if y'all want, if y'all want, since what is it, Friday, man, this is a nice sit down. I really like this, man. I don't know if y'all trying to do this next week or another day, but
Man, I can
you know,
do
to
this.
keep building this up, because I know we'll keep going, but I want to find a day that's good because we pushing almost 2 hours, and I'm like,
Yeah.
woo-hoo-hoo. But
Yeah.
I got to shut it down. We'll keep going. I got
Let's
to.
go.
I
Yeah,
got
you
to shut it down.
We'll
you up in
definitely
there with
regroup. We'll
you
regroup.
up in there. You up in there with your Kumo D look on with your
Oh
dress
yeah,
shirt,
you know.
All the time. Next time, Daquan, if we do this again next week, I need a heads up next time so that I keep them lashes on so that every time Anthony wants to talk about us investing, don't make me go ahead and put my halo hairpiece back in too.
Oh my god.
I'll invest it in myself.
Oh.
Don't do your thing. All right, y'all. I'm
man,
gone.
man, I love
All
y'all.
right,
Y'all
thank
be
you
safe.
guys. I
All right, later
appreciate
on.
y'all. Talk to y'all
All right,
soon.
bye, y'all.
Y'all be safe, man.